Welcome everyone. I'm Jesse Berst of SmartGridNews. I'm your host and your moderator today. And this is the science of customer engagement, actually the first in a series on this topic. Today we're going to focus on printed reports, typically the first step in this journey, and certainly one of the very most important. You've got to get that piece right if you're going to get your customer permission and trust. So the good news is there's help on this topic. We can turn to behavioral science to give us insights. We can turn to experience and lean on the lessons learned by those who've gone before. And we're going to tap into both of those sources today. I want to introduce our happy presenters today. And I'll introduce each one in more detail when it's their turn to present. But real quickly, I'm Jesse Berst. SmartGridNews is the Internet's oldest and largest smart grid site. Also joining us, Patty Durand, the Executive Director of the SmartGridConusumerCollaborative. It's North America's leading voice for consumer-safe and consumer-friendly smart grid. Welcome, Patty.
Hello, everyone.
Also here is Dr. Paul Cole. He's Vice President of Consumer Products for Tendril, one of the leading customer engagement companies. And thanks, Paul, for stopping by.
Thanks, Jesse, for having me.
Also with us is Delta Sonderman. She's a Product Development Manager at Duke Energy. Duke is one of the country's really pioneering utilities. So Delta, thanks for taking the time out today.
Well, thank you, Jesse.
Real quickly, you probably know the rules, but in case you're new, you will receive a copy of the slides. We'll send it to the email you used to register. You'll also get links to video replays. We slice the presentation into bite-sized pieces. You can review the whole thing or any piece that you want. You can also send those links to friends if there's something you want them to hear, or colleagues. You can ask questions as we go along, and also we'll send you a link to a frequently asked questions document. So even if we can't get to every question during the session, we'll be sure to get back to you with answers. And here's what we're going to cover. Patty's going to start us off, and she's going to talk about what research is telling us about today's electric power consumers. And it's really, and also about the importance of customer segmentation. So I think that's going to be very helpful. Paul's going to spend some time on the customer engagement journey, how you get from paper all the way up to this interactive customer engagement. So I think you're going to get some intriguing insights from Paul. And Delta is going to finish things up and talk about how Duke Energy actually put this into daily practice, how they operationalized this, how they experimented, fine-tuned it, and then rolled it out at scale, and just how they did it. So I'm real pleased to welcome Patty. I was a co-founder of the Smart Grid Consumer Collaborative, and I think my single best accomplishment would be part of the committee that voted to bring Patty on as our permanent executive director. She's got I think, a very useful and diverse background. She's been in the smart grid space at Georgia Tech. She's been on the advocacy side with the Sierra Club. She's been on the business side with Hewlett-Packard and Compaq. And that makes really a great base for running an organization that's got multiple stakeholders. So Patty, take it away.
All right, thank you, Jesse, and welcome everyone. So the purpose of my talk today is to give you an overview of the type of research that we do and do as deep a dive as I can in the time that I have in terms of the science of consumer engagement and what we know so far about consumers. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit chartered to be the trusted source representing consumers and really all of the stakeholder community. But our main focus is consumers. What do they think and what do they know, and what products and services are they interested in? And this page shows a quick snapshot of our members. We've actually had some members join since this was done. We are at over 80 members now. And I think the rapid pace of growth of our membership, considering that we're only 2 years old, is a testament to the fact that people see a real need for more consumer engagement, research, and education. So as I said, we're 2 years old. We're a membership organization, and our members fall into 3 main categories, those being utilities, technology companies, and nonprofit affiliates. And everyone likes to know the elevator statement. This is actually even shorter than an elevator ride. But our mission is to advance a consumer-friendly and consumer-safe smart grid. We certainly have a more robust mission than that. We actually have a 15-page, 3-year strategic plan with a longer mission than that. But that's just a quick mission for everyone on the call to understand what we're about in a very short sentence. We've already delivered 5 pieces of foundational research in the first 2 years, so Obviously, I don't have time to get into all of it, but I've selected the one piece that I think this audience is most interested in hearing about, which is the science of consumer engagement. So I have a couple of visuals here. This visual shows the different types of members that we have, and I wanted to show this to you because it's really important that we get the best brains at the table, that we all learn from each other, and that we all influence each other, because the grid, the electric grid, is very complex. The smart grid adds an additional layer of complexity of communications and computing technology, and then we have another layer of complexity with trying to activate and educate consumers into spaces they've never been in before and cross the technology chasm. So we need everyone at the table, and so you'll see we have, this is just a snapshot, we actually have over 24 members in each one of these categories, but you can just see quickly who's at the table. And then I have a few slides here about what we do. What do we actually do to move our mission forward and move the needle? And so we conduct focus groups. We actually have some happening right now this week. We also do market research to understand how consumers think and buy and know energy and electricity, and ideation sessions where we talk to consumers and thought leaders about what's the future going to be, what kind of apps will we have, how can we engage consumers, what pricing plans will they want, what sort of logo, tagline, messages resonates with consumer, to try to see into the future and shine a light on that path. And we collaborate together. So we have a website filled with our members' research. We know we're not the only ones out there doing research. If there's anything out there, member or not, that's worthy of knowledge that we think the industry wants to have or that is interesting about consumers, we put it on our website. And we also document best practices. And we have secondary research that we do, where we do meta-analyses, or we do research about research. That's a little bit of a definition of what a meta-analysis is. And finally, we help educate. This is a new space we're moving into this year. Our first 2 years have been focused on foundational research and building the organization. And now we're ready to help educate consumers and help our members educate consumers. Our members represent tens of millions of people collectively, and so with their help, we'll be able to reach a lot of people. And so the middle picture is a snapshot of our fact sheets. We have 4 fact sheets now about the smart grid that are available to regulators, to members, to general consumers. We have them on our website. We'll push them out on our social media once we get that campaign going. We're also doing consumer-facing videos where we're addressing the anti-smart meter campaign directly with a myths video, and we're doing educational videos that just promotes the benefits of the smart grid. And we have a social media campaign we'll be launching this year, as well as a consumer-facing website with blogs and frequently asked questions. So just moving on into the research now. This particular piece of research is called our Consumer Pulse and Segmentation Study. In that research, we talked to over 2,000 U.S. residential consumers, and we hired a professional research firm to do this work. And this work actually, it has over a 95% statistically significant accuracy in terms of what consumers think and know about energy. And as we know, everyone is different. Everyone is an individual. We all think a little bit different about energy. Some of us think we want to spend a lot of time on playing with games and going online. Others think we don't want to have anything to do with it at all, that it's boring and no one cares beyond flipping a switch and getting a cheap bill. And then there's a spectrum of opinions and attitudes all between those two. But it's not practical to create programs and services and messages for everyone individually. And so what we do, what everyone has to do that operates in a market, is segment the market. And so the first commandment of marketing is to segment the market and to choose the best segments and then create the best programs and services that you can to attract your best segment. Okay, so this segmentation framework that I'm about to show you was created from the Consumer Pulse and research study that we did. We've done 2 waves, and we're doing a 3rd wave this summer. It's an effort to understand and benchmark consumers and watch the needle as it moves, as it definitely will move as smart meters continue to be deployed, as electric vehicles reach greater penetration, as more pricing plans get deployed, and as consumers become more engaged and aware about electricity. So these are the 5 main segments that we created out of the people that we spoke to. A couple things I want to point out here. The Concerned Green segment is the largest. That does not mean that there are more environmentalists than anyone else in the country. All Concerned Green means is that they have answered a few questions, which indicates they see the potential benefit for the environment with the smart grid. It doesn't mean they're easy pickings or that they're going to come running to you with any program you offer. It just means they have a viewpoint where they understand that renewable energy needs to be ramped up more and they want to help that, or maybe they've donated to an environmental organization, or maybe they've purchased a green cleaning product for their home, or they've expressed a desire that the country move on quickly to address climate change. And those types of people with those views and mindsets are interested in particular messages that would resonate with them. And I'll go through each of these now. Okay, so these segments don't resonate to the area of the country that this graphic places them on. Every segment is in every section of the country. And what I want to emphasize here that our findings show, and not only our findings, but every study that I've seen shows that one size does not fit all when it comes to understanding consumers and reaching them. And we can look across the field outside of energy and look at any number of consumer segments. We can look at telephony. We can look at home products like Procter & Gamble. We can look at automobiles and see that every segment, every company, every industry segment creates consumer segments and then creates products and messages to target those segments. So this is a major transition for the utility industry. We're in the middle of it now. And so whether you choose to use these segments or you've got different segments, the fact is that people fall into broad categories very similar to these. And all I want to say here is that every region will have to do their own segmentation and understand their own mix. These are what we found across the U.S. generally, and they exist everywhere.